Yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Miller. I am your host of the Self-Helpful Podcast. This is a brief message about what drives you and an announcement that the show name is changing to just that. As of right now, the Self-Helpful Podcast is evolving to What Drives You. I'll explain that a little, but first, the point here is you, not me. Your world right now is a result of what drives you, good and bad. And you've heard much of my own story about the healthy and authentic drives that have given me just some glorious results and achievements in life, and some unhealthy, hidden, and errant drives in my life that have led me down paths to failure and bitterness and some burnout. At the end of the day, I do love being driven. I love waking every morning to an inspired life, having interest and curiosity and purpose to pursue in my day. And I love being with other driven people. My purpose is to help us all get closer and closer to our authentic drive in every area of our life. I mean, we achieve success and fulfillment when our want, what we want, and our why we want it, when they're in alignment, when we know what we want, but we know that because we know why fully, and we're in agreement with that why. That's alignment. That's what creates authentic drive. That's what my book is about. What drives you? And when you're not tapped into your inner drive, it's really difficult to get what you want out of life. So every week, I do and I will continue to bring you guests who share incredible messages on so many aspects of what drives you. And in part two of every episode or every series that I do with the guests, we literally walk through the 7 key areas of life. And I ask them what drives you based on what they value and how they walk it out. That's what I want you to do in your life. And it's the structure again in my book, What Drives You. And it's what I have to do constantly, because what we want and why, it evolves. It's not just one time and it's set. So it's something we consistently revisit so that we stay on the right path. With the launch of my book, What Drives You, and as I now am sitting more and more on the other side of the microphone as the interviewee, we're receiving just so much more desire and inspiration around the questions and answers and problems and solutions with drive, with our drive. People are seeing that as much as we get excited about, the 7 steps to this and the 5 keys to that, and having a great morning routine and adopting healthy habits. It's all fueled by drive. And if our drive's not right, it's not fueled. If your drive's lacking or out of alignment, no amount of ideas on good habits or a morning routine is going to help us. Our drive is literally the fuel. So we are answering this call and fully embracing drive. So this podcast journey, for those of you who've been with me a long time, this started with years ago and the death of Zig Ziglar, one of the most driven people I've ever experienced, who ignited the drive of over 250 million people worldwide with his messages of inspiration, motivation, and personal performance. I wanted to help continue that legacy of equipping people and, as he said, inspiring their true performance as I'm continuing on the journey of inspiring my own true performance. So I became the host of The Ziglar Show. I brought Zig's message forward to discuss it with the greatest influencers of our time, people who were influenced by Zig, people like Seth Godin and Simon Sinek and Dave Ramsey. Tom Ziglar is Zig's son and the longtime CEO of Ziglar, my dear friend, and often the co-host. As time went on and the show grew, we realized not as many people knew the Ziglar name. And as podcasters, so host-centric, there was some disconnect between the name of Ziglar and me, Kevin Miller, as the host. And while Zig is foundational to my life, the show comes fully from my perspective on personal development. Thus, we transitioned to the Self-Helpful Podcast presented by Ziglar. And this has served us so well. We are now at over 65 million downloads and in the top 1% of all podcasts worldwide. But I'm rapidly being billed as the drive guy, and we're just going to go deep into that focus. So welcome again to the newly branded What Drives You podcast. I will continue on with my series as I have been on the foundational topics of self-help and personal development and business development, as these are the ingredients of what drives us all. So we'll give more focus with every topic as to how it does relate to our authentic drive. That's what we're here. We're here to strengthen our drive, to align our drive, to make sure that it's fully fueled and driving us in the right directions. So we'll hear more stories from influential people on what drives them, including their past, where their drive took them, again, it went awry and took them to wrong places. We want to hear both sides of it. The point of the podcast, again, is to bring you into alignment in every area of our life. And the areas I go through are spiritual, relationships, health and wellness, mind, mental health, mental state, work, career, our businesses, money, finances, and wealth, and then our achievements. We're going to be talking about that more, how they fuel our drive. So this announcement, again, is not about me. You're not here to learn what I'm doing in my business. This is about you. You want to be driven. Who doesn't? And you already are. You wouldn't be here otherwise listening. But you're also here because there are areas and aspects of your life that you want to improve upon. We all do. It may even be that, being driven, you want to be more driven, you want to be fully driven, but you also want to be at peace. We're not trying to drive to exhaustion. We want to have margin and peace. That's a big part of my message these days. I'll admit, I still want to drive fast. I'm happy to go 100 miles an hour. However, and this is really important, I want to be doing that in sixth gear with the RPMs low, if you guys know car lingo. Okay. I've spent too much of my life, and you have too. You all know the feeling of going 100 miles an hour and you're in second gear and you're redlining. You're about to overheat and explode. So we want to help us shift gears and get to the next gear and go faster, but with less effort, less wear and tear, less stress, less anxiety. And let's help us all know when to pull in, when we need to stop driving for a little bit and recover. Take a pit stop, in essence. Pit stops of peace and relaxation and rejuvenation. I'll leave the automobile analogy there behind, because in real life, success and fulfillment comes when we drive, but we drive well and fast and effectively and efficiently. And then we do rest and recover and recreate ourselves. So the pit stop is not just a little quick, fast pit stop. It's a joyful, relaxed pit stop that we have a greater and greater percentage of our time spent doing. The most inspiring, driven people I know, they drive well and they rest well. And they keep a level of peace and joy about them the whole time, no matter what. I have failed a lot in that in my past. That's a part of my journey here. So here's to you, and being driven and at peace and finding great success and fulfillment in all the areas of your life. So welcome again to the What Drives You podcast, where we do the work to wake up every day to our authentic, driven, and inspired lives. I'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah.